All right, let's see if this thing works today. Crossing fingers and toes. Uh, there we go. So we are now live on Instagram. So good morning, everybody. It is Tony from Cut Up and Sew, and we are live for Quilt Talk. I am not solo, thank goodness. Joann is here around. She's gonna be up here in a second.
Good morning. This is like the most exciting day at Cut Up and Sew
for Joann. She's been asking forever.
Can we show them or do
you ready to do it now? Let's lingo. Yeah, we want to get some people on first before we show.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, Tony, you are right.
We're in blue today, and I've got fuzzies all over from just carrying that one.
Okay, so here are the clues. If you hear clues as you go around, as you go along. If you guess what the surprise is, then there should be like a prize for you.
Yes, there should be. We'll think about that. So good morning, Jody. How are you today? Good to see you on bright and early. Okay, it's no comments there. No people on Instagram yet. So if you come in, say hi so we know you're there. And don't forget to share and like and send hearts. I know we're not as beautiful as this guy here, but we love hearts too, just saying. And guess what? This guy's on his way back.
That's right. Next week he'll be here. Will he be in the shop?
Oh, listen to her. She doesn't want me. I'm always here on Mondays anyway. I'm just behind the scenes.
I just like normal.
Yeah. Routine.
I'm ready. That's good. I'm ready to be back to the routine.
So you've done really well.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, he'll be back next Monday and he'll be doing the quilt talk then. So good morning, Miss Linda. How are you today? Hey, Joyce. Good morning to you. So yeah, I've got a lot to share. Mainly because I've kind of forgotten some things, but we're going to catch up anyway. So this is our last week for June Spectacular Jamboree. They put my fan down. I'm hot. So I brought a fan today. I'm so hot.
Oh, I thought maybe we were selling those now. That was a really cool fan.
Dollar Tree.
They have so many good things.
It could be bad for your pocket. So Spectacular Jamboree ends this week. We have one more week to celebrate Halloween. For now, we'll celebrate again in October, but we're going to do it one more week, especially when we're going to end up the week with a welcome back party with Joshua on Saturday. So
on Saturday.
Oh,
is that his first day back in the shop?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, his first day back in the shop. So he is going to be so stoked. And so we'll do study hall. I don't know if I'll get any words in edgewise when we're doing study hall because he's had a month of not talking. Yeah. So it could be a long study hall, just forewarning. So anyway, we're going to be doing some door prizes. You're going to earn tickets this weekend and hang out with Joshua and just celebrate the rest of June Jamboree. The rest of June Jamboree, just so you know, we have fall and Halloween fabric has been at 15% off for this whole month. Well, we're ending it. So let's bump that up a little bit. I think that's fair. See, I get to do that because the boss is not here. So that's the way mice will play. And we are jumping into July. July is next week. So in July, we're doing Christmas in July. So we have a pretty large Christmas selection that we kind of need to rotate out. We got some new stuff coming in. So I'm going to encompass fall, Halloween, and Christmas fabric. This week is all 20% off. How's that?
It sounds cool.
Oh, cool. Awesome. And if you've been playing along, we have been using a code word. So if you pay in cash, you get a ticket into our cash pig where we draw. Ooh, we get to do that next week too. We get to draw a winner once a month for $25. Mm-hmm. Joann's not allowed to draw for herself anymore.
No, I only draw for Sam now.
Our winners. Everyone's a winner. So you normally get one ticket when you pay with cash. Well, we're going to give you 2 tickets if you say this code word to anybody at the register.
Well, what is the code word?
Partay.
Partay. Do they have to say it like that, or if they say?
I would say it like Josh. Partay. That's how Josh says it. Partay.
Okay. So partay. So if you remember that at the end of this, yet another reason for a prize.
That's right. It should be. Should be. Now you're giving away the star. I love it. I've trained you well. Good morning, Louise. Good morning, Cindy and Denise and Maria. Good to see you guys this morning. So that's wrapping it up off of our June Spectacular Jamboree. We'll have a big party this Saturday. Come on in, say hi. Let's talk about some other things that are going on just so you guys are aware, we're trying to. There's a lot going on actually. So, but I'm trying to soften you up before Joshua gets back. He's gonna be like, "Did you tell him this? Did you tell him this?" I'll be like, "What? Well, I'm gonna tell you so I can't get in trouble." So you all know there's a new baby lock machine coming. We know it's got a bigger projector and a bigger sewing space.
Huh.
There'll be more information coming this
Projector,
week.
is that for the embroidery? It's an it's a combo machine.
It's a combo machine. So, and we don't know the price point, so no idea. But we're asking or we're offering a $500 deposit will hold you a limited edition of these machines. So they're producing, manufacturing just a certain number of machines that are unique. So who knows what that means? It could be a different coloring. You could have different fancy stuff with it. We don't know. And they also going to put in a exclusive packet of goodies for people who do this. And then the regular machine will come out normally after that fact. But this is like a very exclusive, limited thing. I don't think they've ever done this before either. I don't know well enough what they do and what they don't do. But so what it is you pay a $500 deposit. It's totally refundable. And then the other thing is people's like, well, what if I want to trade up my machine? Can I still apply that with my 500? And we're like, yeah, we'll take trade-ins. Yeah, sure. So the new machine will be announced here in a couple of weeks. I think I have the date. I don't remember where it was, but you might want to jump in. We have to get these deposits to let them know the number within the next couple of weeks. So just keep that in mind.
So can you buy it just as a sewing machine and not the embroidery machine? It all comes.
It'll be a combo machine.
Okay.
Just like the Solaris.
Okay.
So, but bigger and better. Bigger and better, the
Yes.
Solaris. Good morning, Miss Nancy. Good morning, Tris. So that's one thing. And then the other thing, I don't have the paper up here. Janome has got special zero financing right now through, I think, July 4th. I have to look again. So if you're interested in that Janome and you've been wanting one, now's the time to get it with the zero financing going on through Synchronicity. So come on in and we'll get you into what the machine of your dreams. Machine of your dreams. And then the third thing I want to talk about is Aero cabinets and chairs. So we all know that the Aero chairs are still on sale through, I think, the July.
Wow. $299.
July 2nd, $299 for these chairs. And we have quite a few in stock, so you can come and see the fabrics. And if we don't have the fabric pattern you want, guess what? We'll order it for you. It's only 2 small boxes. Perfect order to get in. The other thing we have going on is the Eleanor table. It's a crafting table, but you can put a small sewing machine in it. It's really kind of cool because it goes up and it goes down. It goes up.
And it
and
also,
down.
can you sit at it? Because what I'm
Yes.
seeing is, I mean, this is really cool if you have a smaller machine, especially, is it looks like there's drawers here.
There's not drawers. That's just showing it going up and down.
Oh, I see. I'm sorry.
But the machine could be an inset, and you can purchase a stove steady
Right.
insert.
So how big is how big a machine can you put in there?
I don't know. That's a good question. I know an M7 will sit on top across the hole. So you can't put an M7 on it.
So like a soprano or something in that range.
Yes.
And, you know, a nice machine that's not one of the real expensive ones to
Correct.
fit in there.
Right.
Okay.
And you don't want the heavier machines on this anyway because it vibrate too much.
Mhm.
So, but it's really cool because if you come and get the Eleanor package right now that we're offering, it's $8.99. It retails at $10.49. It's comes with an ironing mat and a cutting mat that fit the top surface, which is really cool because the ironing mat you can put on the cutting mat and iron, and it's not supposed to damage the mat.
Oh, that is nice.
That's interesting and nice. I thought that was kind of cool. So that's a cool package we got going on too, and we have them in store. We have a couple left in the store. We've sold a couple this month, but we've got.
Now I have to ask you,
Mhm.
who is Eleanor?
Oh, I don't know how they name their things. They just name their things.
Huh. Okay.
Let's assume that they named it after Eleanor Burns.
How about that? That was my thought. I thought maybe it was an honor for her because
I think it is.
she's in the Quilting Hall of Fame.
Did you guys know that we have a Quilting Hall of Fame? It's kind of cool.
It's always good to know these things. It's in the Midwest, northern Midwest somewhere. Do you know where?
No.
Okay.
We're gonna have to look
No
at
more
it now.
questions.
Good morning, Janice. And the last thing I want to kind of talk about for Aero Sewing is they are doing a giveaway of two tables, so basically a sewing studio. So you have your cutting surface and you have your sewing machine home, and you just have to scan this little QR code when you come in and visit, and you get entered into that. I mean, those are the best things to enter into because it's free. Just
Mhm.
scan it and do it. We've had quite a few people scan and enter in it. And if you do it, just make sure you scroll. I've noticed that's been the hardest thing for people to find it. Good morning, Miss Christy. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, I brought this over. So this is what the mat looks like.
Oh, this goes with the table?
It goes with the table. Yeah.
Oh.
It actually has a full mat, and then it has a small mat, I guess, to rest your iron on.
Uh-huh.
So, and they come in a bunch of colors. I don't know what colors in the box, so it'll be a mystery when you get it, but it comes with it.
Awesome. Yeah. There's like,
And the mat and the both mats, the cutting mat and the ironing mat, are
Mhm.
$260. So that's a value on top of the discount with
Mhm.
the owner. So that's kind of cool. So how's everybody this morning? I know I just kind of rambled into it. I'm seeing a lot of people on. Hope everyone's doing well and having a great summer. How about you?
well, it's a little hot here in Florida.
We're in Florida.
That's right. I guess I wasn't quite prepared. I have in my sewing room. My sewing room is actually my garage, and in my sewing room, I have a mini split that keeps the room at an even temperature. But it's having a hard time keeping up with the heat.
Oh yeah.
So it's even been hot in my sewing room, which is unusual.
Well, normally you're visiting family in California this time of year too.
Well, I would like to be, but
know.
maybe another time.
That's right. So that's why the heat's getting to you because it's wonderful back there.
Yes, it is, as always.
Should go visit. All right. What else do I have on my list? Oh, just a mental note. Next Thursday, July 4th, the shop is closed. I want to make sure everyone knows
Oh,
that.
how about that?
Shop is closed. So, but if you drive by and you see lots of cars and people's here, the doors will be locked because we have a open sew that people have bought into, and so it's gonna be closed. It's gonna be just for those people that are here in the class.
Good to know.
That's fairly fun. Yeah, because I know people will drive by and like, well, so they must be open. All those cars are there.
Mhm.
We won't be open, just so you know. All right. So Joann is like, she is biting the bit here because she wants so badly to talk about this
Look
next
at this
thing.
beautiful fabric. Oh my goodness.
It's heavy. You have to lift it up so you can.
Oh my goodness. And I'm ripping off the things here.
Oh, well, it's gonna have to be eventually ripped off. Look at this. Look, it feels like a body.
Looks like a body. Okay, so this is Minky, and it is here. There are what,
6 colors.
6 colors that have come in. So if you have a baby quilt, it has a good color for baby quilt. It has this beautiful blue. There's a nice purple. There's a beautiful teal.
The teal. It's really pretty.
So there's lots of pretty colors. It is 90 inches wide. So if you're making a regular size quilt, you actually have enough.
Yes, you have to piece it.
That's right.
You always have to piece it. Yeah, it's amazing.
So I just refuse to piece Minky. So, but I don't think any place in the area carries 90-inch wide Minky. So we might be the only one.
Woo!
I don't hold me to that, but as a professional Minky buyer,
Professional Minky buyer. You can have a new button now. I am a professional Minky buyer.
yeah. So, and it's beautiful. It just feels great.
We're gonna stand here for the rest of the time. Just
This is the rest. This is all we have to say. Just to come and feel the Minky.
You should have heard the squeal. There was a squeal this morning.
You may have heard it.
You might have. Seriously though, Joann has been in the quilt you're doing, the double Astor stars has got Minky on the back of it, and it's amazing.
Yeah. So if
You
you're
can ask it
coming
one
in and
time.
you're thinking about it, Minky has a couple of issues with it that people tend to, fuss about. One is that when you cut it, you get a lot of little fuzzies from it, and there's a couple of ways around that. One of which is just get one of those little handheld vacuums.
There you go.
And
Dust
it up
buster.
right away. And that's one of the things I do. An electric scissors, if you happen to have one of those,
That's a good point too.
will cut it with. I think that must heat it up, because if you heat up the edges, then it doesn't fray. So if you use an electric scissors, sometimes that works depending upon your scissors. And what else about it? But other than that, it's just gorgeous. And I always tell people, if you're concerned about somebody not liking the quilt you're making for them, just put Minky on the back. It'll solve all your problems.
Right. They'll love you forever.
That's right.
I'm just noticing this Minky doesn't have a stretch at all.
Really?
Most Minky has stretch. There is like just a teeny bit of stretch this way.
Oh my goodness, that's so nice.
This is even nicer because you don't really having Minky that doesn't stretch is perfect for backing because it's not going to stretch on the long arm or on your basting processes.
Yeah.
But this is, yeah, there's like no stretch, which is really nice.
Yeah, I will admit when I'm very careful when I have Minky on the long arm, because if you're not careful with it, it stretches. And then when you take it off, which you don't really notice when it's on the long arm, and then you take it off and everything kind of scrunches up before you want it to. And so you have to be careful when you're quilting with it. But this is just wonderful. It's awesome. I'm very excited.
Yeah, Angelina says, good morning. Good morning, Angelina from Omaha. She's like, at night, Minky keeps your feet warm.
Yes, it does. And just remember, there's a couple of things. People will say, well, when you put a batting in with Minky, it makes it so heavy. But I always use a batting because I like it. There's a couple of things you can do. One is that I use the very lightest weight batting I can find, and mine is a cotton Quilter's Dream Cotton Request, which is really lightweight. You can also use a flannel in there as a batting. But I don't find that my quilts are that heavy. And if you say, oh, this is Florida, it's too hot for it. But what I remember is that in my house where I have air conditioning, it's cold.
And we have to keep it cold just so it's not humid and sticky in our house.
That's right. So our houses are cool. So these quilts are just as nice here as they are other places.
That's right. I'm so excited. We're going to be here all day just petting. Come and see us. We have a petting zoo now, right?
I don't know if you've noticed, but this is all we've done for the last 5 minutes is peel the fabric.
And Angelina says you can quilt with Minky and top only, great for summer night. Yeah, you could.
That's true.
I would be concerned about the stitches stretching and pulling, because if you have a Minky that has 4-way stretch, so I like the idea of having a middle like batting or flannel just to support the stitches.
I do too. And I bought something at Joann's and I don't know what it was. It was in the Minky section. It was pretty. It had it was a solid color, and it had leaves embossed on it, and it was very pretty. But and I thought, well, I'm going to quilt this without a batting just to see how it works. And whenever the needle hit the Minky, the back of the Minky, it broke the thread.
Interesting.
I thought that was really weird, and I don't know whether and that could just be that particular brand. I've never had that before, but anyway, I like the batting.
Okay, I'm excited. Okay. All right. Morning, Barbara. How are you? Oops, let me move this over here.
Don't want to lose the fan.
Don't move the fan. I can fan you. Yeah, we're a comedy show today. How's that? Because it's our last Monday.
That's all right. We can do anything.
That's is this table sturdy enough? Can we get up and dance? So I'm done. That was my spiel. I get to the point.
Okay. Well, today, other than Minky, I'm talking about scrap quilts. And if you've been quilting any length of time, you have a collection of fabric that probably you don't know what to do with. And, some people have, they'll take their fabric when they're done making the quilt and they stuff it in a grocery bag. And then they get to the point where that grocery bag is full. So they start dividing that grocery bag into colors. And then that doesn't work anymore. So they start throwing it all into a box. And it's just growing and growing and growing. So I'm going to talk just a little bit about organizing your fabric and a little bit about scrap quilts in general. There's a couple of different kinds. If you're looking at a traditional scrap quilt, and traditionally, like back when quilts were first being made, they took whatever they had. It could be a flour sack. It could be fabric left over from making clothes. It could be any kind of fabric. They just took everything, but because what they were making was quilts for function, to keep their family warm and to, just to provide something nice for the bed. So those are so traditionally, scrap quilt has a lot of different fabric in it. And strictly speaking, now, if you're talking to a quilt judge or somebody who really knows about quilts, they will tell you that a scrap quilt should have at least 75 different fabrics in it.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes, it's a lot of fabric. So
That's kind of cool.
I have one quilt that I think probably qualifies. And this is a quilt. I can have you help me here. This is a quilt that I started when I lived in California, but I knew I was heading towards Florida. And so what I did was, a lot of this is my own fabric, but a lot of it is fabric that I went around to all my friends who were quilters, and I said, can I have just a little bit of fabric? And so there's fabric that's mine, and then there's fabric that belonged to other people. And so as we went across the country, and I had a sewing machine in the back of my car, as we stopped along the way, if I were bored, if we stopped early or whatever, I would work on this a little bit. And then it was finally finished here in Florida. But I think in reality, it was finished over on the Gulf Coast, and then I actually quilted it here in this. So it has a little bit of a history.
There's a story. I love it.
A little bit of a story. Yes. So this is actually one of my favorite quilts. Amazingly, it does not have Minky on the back, but that's okay. So that's a traditional style of scrap quilt. Now, another thing that the way our fabrics are being made these days is they come out in lines. So there'll be 20 or so different fabrics within a line, and you can take all those fabrics and put them together. And although it's not really a scrap quilt, it certainly gets that appearance to it.
Is that called a faux scrap quilt?
Well, I think if it isn't, we should coin that.
I think it should be. That's a great idea. A faux scrap quilt.
So, and another type of scrap quilt is something that I actually end up doing a lot, and you may too, because what happens is when I decide to make a quilt, I typically buy way too much fabric. So then there's the quilt that gets originally made, and then there's the quilts that are continually being made from the fabric, from the leftovers. So this quilt is still in progress. But I started out making a log cabin for my bed, and this is what was left over.
Wow, it's like a whole nother. That's a huge quilt, actually.
Yeah, it is, and there's 2 more rows to go on it. So it's not quite done. So anyway, this is more called an after quilt because you're using fabric that you already have, and maybe you've had to add some things to it just to finish off the quilt, but it's primarily the same, from the same group of fabrics. Now, another type of quilt, something here,
paper on the floor, stacking her feet.
So another type of quilt scrap quilt is where you just take all of your colors. I mean, you may narrow it down. So like this particular, can we see this now?
Oh, no, I have the board over there if you want it.
I don't think I can do this on the board. So anyway, this is a little tray that I have, and it's actually what I call a leader ender quilt. So I'm making these 9 patches. They're all blue and white. So I have my squares, my 2-inch squares for her here, all cut. And when I make a quilt that has blue in it, I will take that fabric when I'm all done with that fabric or making that quilt, I will cut the remains up into 2-inch squares, and it goes here. And then I just keep working on it. And so when I'm making another quilt, when I finish a seam on that quilt, I may do put together a couple of 9 patches or gradually put together 9 patches as I go along, so that this quilt is being built as I'm working on others. And then eventually I'll get to the point where there's enough 9 patches and I figured out what I'm going to do with it, and I can start putting it together as a quilt.
I have to show this. That's a paper piece, or is that just a tiny 4-patch?
It's just a little tiny.
Gosh, that's tiny.
So anyway, this would be a different type of scrap quilt where you're actually just using specific colors and you're working as you go along. So
they want to know what this pattern is. Christy
um,
wants to know what pattern that is.
this is, I'll have to look it up. It's a star.
Christy, she'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I don't.
And then this Morning Mary.
It's a string piece. If you look up string piece stars online, you'll find this. It's easy to find in Pinterest. And then it's essentially an octagon, I think.
Little triangles.
Yeah, essentially made. So the pieces are, did I bring pieces? So I make the, oh, here. So the different things are made up with this, with a triangle on either, all around it to, on the top part, and then put together. And it's pretty labor intensive. So as I was looking, one of my favorite ways to save scraps is to just throw them into the box. But
bag.
When I'm really feeling very organized, or what I try and do is I have a basket on my sewing table, and as I have a piece of fabric that I think, oh, this can be cut into a certain size, I'll throw it into that basket. And then when that basket is full, I take that basket and I start cutting up the different pieces. So and when you decide to do that, so the easiest way to take control of your scraps is to get them cut into pieces that you can use when you've finished using them. It's really daunting when you've got 2 boxes of scraps and you look at that and it just looks like a box of mess. And that can be a little bit more challenging to just decide, I'm going to cut these up and get them put away in such a way that I can use them. But that's the key with scraps, is you need to figure out a way that you can organize your scraps so that you can use them. And that's always the challenge. So what I do is I have certain sizes that I work with very consistently. I work with 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 6-inch squares, and 2.5-inch strips. So those are the ones that I concentrate on cutting up. And so here is a little box. It's just one of those silverware boxes that you can get at the store. And it happens to be 2.5 inches wide. So I can put my 2.5-inch squares right here.
That's ingenious.
And then I have a little set over here, because another size I use a lot of is 2.5 by 4.5-inch strips. So, or rectangles. So I have a little set over here of things that I can cut in. They're 2.5. They're bigger than 2.5-inch square. I can cut them into that 2.5 by 4.5 when I want to. So I have everything kind of nice and neatly organized here. And if I wanted to, I could have a couple of these, because when I was sewing in California, oddly enough, I was working for a shop that specialized in this kind of fabric. The grade, like the quilt I showed you, the reproduction, the older looking fabrics. So I have a ton of that kind of fabric. So this box tends to be more that kind of fabric, but I could just as easily, because now I teach at a store where that doesn't even exist. And so now I could have a box where I start putting the more brighter things, the tulip pinks, the capes, the things like that. I could have another box that was just that. And so that I have everything organized, so that when I want to make a scrap quilt, which is, I love making them, I have everything ready for me.
Nice.
So one of the things that I found when I was looking at organizing for organizing your scraps, was a way of organizing those things that are just a little bit bigger. So like if you have a piece of fabric like this is probably a little bit bigger than I would normally use, but it's actually less than 1/2 yard. And so what you can do is you can fold that into a rectangle. You can fold it into thirds. So it's about 6 inches wide. Then you can cut squares, and these squares are cut from foam core. You can cut these from cardboard boxes. You can use magazine card stock, which is a little bit heavier than just it just has a nice weight to it and it's not too thick. And then you wrap your fabric around it. So I have this and I'm just going to, so I have this board like this. I'm just going to wrap this right around it. So I have like a little micro bolt.
Oh, there you go.
And you can take a rubber band, wrap it around it like this. It's nice and secure. I can put it in with the rest of my fabric. So most of my fabric in my home is stacked so that I have all the blues in one area, all the reds in another area. So it's all organized as to color for the most part. And then I would just take these and tuck them in there so that I can see them. Because if I just stack them on top with all the other fabrics, then they're invisible.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm trying to do is make the fabric more visible, because it really bothers me when I'm working on a quilt and I think, oh, I need such and such a color, or this is exactly what I need, but I can't find it in the fabric that I have, so I go out and buy it. And then I come home and a few days later, I'll be going through the fabric and I think, this is just what I needed. In fact, it's better than what I just bought. That's why I have so much fabric. So anyway, it's so this sort of method starts to give you the opportunity to see what you have. And so I have this little stack of different fabrics that I wrapped around either the cardstock or the foam core to make little mini bolts so that I can see my fabric and I can see what I've got.
That's cool. It's like little books.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Little fabric books. So this is a sample of the, and it's very difficult to see how thick it is, but this is a sample of the magazine. Do you know what this is called? Magazine?
I just think of comic books with it. You package it with a comic book to protect it.
Right.
That's all I can do.
Exactly. And that's why they're called magazines.
Cereal box.
Cereal box might do the same thing. It might
a
be
snack
just,
box,
yeah.
or
So anything, and I don't like to use the corrugated boxes, because my understanding is they have bugs in them, so I don't really want those in my fabric. But but this works very nicely, and there's lots of other things that you can use, anything with a little bit of stiffness so that it gives you something to wrap around.
Use plastic canvas, like needlepoint plastic canvas.
Yes, you could.
That'd be good too.
Yeah, for those of you who want to do needlepoint but never do
or never did.
never did, one of those things you can repurpose what you already bought. So I think that's about it.
Wow, that was a lot of information. And that's really cool. I'm like, do you actually, so if we walked into your, well, we're not going to put you on the spot.
Thank you.
But so you have a really nice, you do organize a lot of your scraps though.
I do. And I will admit there is a box, the threaded box that every now and then I take out and I look at it and I put it back. But there is a goal someday to actually go back and organize that a little bit better. But I do try and stay on top of the current things so that I'm not adding to that box.
So when you finish up like a current, you go ahead and start cutting and organizing, and where, if it needs to go in a car.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of that stuff for me, there's a lot of boxes, like this box here. I've just been in the process of making tons of baby quilts for girls. And so I have a lot of pink and left over, and I have a lot of pieces that I didn't use because I ended up not liking them. So there's a box that has the pink strips and the pink hearts and things like that, so that I can go back and use them. And it's a perfect place to go. So if I'm working on quilts to donate to a particular cause, I can go to those boxes and I can just pull those out. I've got the fabric already, have minimal I have to add to it. And I have everything all organized to make another quilt. Nice. And a girlfriend of mine calls these free quilts because you're using what you've got, and instead of having to go buy fabric, and maybe you'll buy. So for when I went to make this quilt, I think that this quilt was actually I had to buy this blue.
just so it can pull it all
Yes.
together.
So, I added to it a little bit, and I think I bought some fabric for borders for that one too. But other than that, I've tried not to buy anything for that one.
Nice, very nice. I learned so much. Thank you so much for sharing that. And the other thing that I was talking to Joann. I'm planning on something in October called a scrap posium, which we're gonna have at the in-store retreat. I talked to Cindy about it too. So over 3 days, we're gonna have participants come in with their scraps, cut them up. We're gonna teach them how to cut them up, and then swap scraps because that's half the fun, and then end up making a project over the next 2 days. So watch for that information. I'm still building it up, but I invited Joann. She doesn't know it yet, but she's coming. She doesn't know what yet.
I hope so. That would be fun.
I think
and it's also when you're organizing your fabric, you can look at. I mean, it's like you can look online, and there's like a million different places.
Overwhelming, really, it is.
Where you can that tell you how to organize. You can watch those, and you can think about them, and they will help you. But what you have to consider is, what do you use? Like, I know I'm going to use 2.5-inch squares. I know I'm going to use 3.5 and 4.5-inch squares. Bonnie Hunter is one of the first people I ever looked at as far as organizing your scraps. And she has a system of what she cuts up and how she cuts her things. I did that once, and I had a whole bunch of stuff that I never used because it was the wrong sizes. So you want to make sure that the system that you develop works for you in your sewing room.
Yeah. So like in my sewing room, I do 10-inch squares, 5-inch squares, and 2.5-inch. And I use like fat quarters. I only use little pieces of fat quarters, and I cut them down into those because I prefer to work with those. So that's a good point. And the other thing with my personality, I like to call myself a chaotic scrapper.
Yes. I can identify.
I'm not going to be so organized to where I have all this. I will sit down and cut everything up, and then I don't organize it by color or anything until I'm ready to do a project. So you got to know how your mind works too, because otherwise you'll get overwhelmed. There's so much information out there.
And as with everything else in quilting, it is so individual. It is an art. It is all about you when you're quilting, not about what somebody else says that you should be doing. We can give you ideas. We can tell you how we do it. We can give you an insight into our own personalities, but we cannot tell you how you personally have to do it.
Right. So I got to take everything with a grain of salt and try it once. And if it doesn't work, don't do it again.
Exactly.
It's pretty simple. Well, thank you so much. That was fun. Good. My brain hurts now because I got all these ideas. So much fun. Denise says she loves the idea of the scrap get together. Awesome. Awesome. While I'm there, Jody, probably not. We have Nina 1 year here. So, well, we'll see. We'll see. And what else? I'm just going up to see what comments I missed. Good morning, Barbara Ann. I did. Oh, yeah. Denise loved the silverware drawer insert for. I love that, too. I'm going to go get me a couple of those. Dollar Tree, here we come.
Dollar Tree, yes. You just want to measure they're just silverware trays, and you want to measure them because some of them are just 2 inches wide, or they're just not wide enough for you to actually use. So you, at least for 2.5-inch squares.
That makes a lot of sense. It's really cool.
And that was actually one of the cheapest one in the store. So
it's nice. It's actually heavy duty too. All right. So don't forget, this is our last week of June's Spectacular Jamboree. Josh is making his way back. He will be here Saturday. If you can, come in and say, welcome back to Josh. Come and show him what you've been working on. There will be a class going in the classroom, but we're going to be doing all the fun stuff out there. So he'll enjoy it, and he would love to see you.
And what's the word?
Oh, what's the code word? So we've been doing code word for the last couple of weeks. I think we're going to actually carry on because I think it's fun. I'm going to tell Josh you need to carry on. So our code word for this week to get an extra ticket in the cash pig is pate. Yeah, say it like Josh.
That's
like
right.
You mean it. Pate.
That's right.
Just like that.
So when he gets back, are we going to take this down?
No, I think we need a selfie with him and this. So there'll be like double vision.
My goodness.
Two Joshes. Don't forget, for this last week, fall, Halloween, and Christmas is 20% off because we're going to kick off Christmas in July next week. We have new Minky at 90 inches. We've got Janome financing. We've got new baby lock coming. Get your deposit in. And we've got lots of stuff with Arrow. Come in and scan that QR code to get into the giveaway. That is it, I think. Are you ready?
I am.
Okay. So you guys have a great day. Making sure I haven't missed anybody. We'll see you guys soon. And remember, live to create.
And remember that there is joy in the journey, even if you're organizing your scraps.
You're really going to throw him off when you come back. You guys have a great one. See you soon.
Bye-bye.